Hey guys, welcome back. So I have another pregnancy related video for you today. I'm playing catch up because as I film this, I'm on my 18th going into 19th week of pregnancy, but because we announced it fairly late, I'm still kind of playing catch up in terms of videos. So today we are backtracking to April/May to my 2-week wait. So I'm going to share with you my symptoms and all of that kind of stuff and how I knew I was pregnant before I did pregnancy test. So a quick disclaimer, if you're family or anything, that you may not want to watch this because I'm going to talk about like maybe TMI subjects, I don't know. So yes, anyway, disclaimer out there. Let's go back to April. So basically it all started on April the 26th, which was cycle day 20 for me, and that is when I got my positive or my peak OPK. So I am going to like label any kind of acronyms on the screen in case I do forget to say what they are, in case you are new to the whole TTC and things like that. TTC, trying to conceive. So yeah, OPK is an ovulation predictor kit. So it's just the little dipsticks that you do to predict when you're going to ovulate. So I got my peak on cycle day 20, which is fairly late. The average woman, I think, ovulates on cycle day 14, so a week after your period, but I ovulated fairly late, which for me was fairly positive, given that my husband was actually away on cycle day 14. So anyway, cycle day 20, I got my peak ovulation. So that is when I marked in my app. Now for reference, I did use a few different apps, but the one that I kind of more consistently used was the Ovia Fertility, I think it was. Yeah, Ovia Fertility. I'll try and like put a picture of it here so you can see which one I'm talking about. So yeah, that's when I logged my ovulation. So my 2-week wait symptoms started from cycle day 24. So I would have been technically 3 DPO, I believe. So I'm not counting the day that I got my peak, but the day after. So from cycle day 21 would have been 1 DPO, if that makes any sense. So cycle day 24 was when my kind of symptoms started. Now it's needless to say that all of these symptoms could be various different things. They could be the start of a period, they could just be random symptoms, I could just be symptom spotting, but if you're watching this then you'll probably know what I'm about to talk about and you'll understand that these are symptoms that a lot of people do get. So yeah, I obviously just wanted to share mine with you as well. So cycle day 24, like I say, 3 DPO. I started getting kind of like cold and flu symptoms, which for me is not like completely abnormal. We were in, I think we were in May by this point. Yeah, I think it was the very start of May when I started getting these symptoms. So it wasn't particularly abnormal, but basically like every morning I woke up with a really stuffy nose and the Sahara Desert in my mouth. Like, oh my god, it was horrible. And I just started to think, do you know what, like this is just really weird. Like it doesn't ever come to anything. The first few days I thought, I'm getting a cold, brilliant, but then nothing came of it. So I was like, okay, that's a bit weird. Along with that, more often than not, I think it was more or less maybe every other day to every 3rd day or night, I would get a fairly vivid dream, which I know from, like I say, having watched a lot of these videos myself, is quite a common early pregnancy symptom, that you get vivid dreams. So those two I kind of just had in my head. I was like, I mean, I don't think so. Obviously at this point it's too early. I mean, usually at very earliest you would implant at 6 DPO. So I wasn't even pregnant at this point. So it was a bit weird, but I thought I'll log it anyway, obviously in case I do end up doing these videos one day, then I've got it all down. So that was that. And then around a day or so later, 4 to 5 DPO, I noticed that for about a week my appetite increased, which again is not particularly abnormal, especially on the lead up to time of the month. For me personally, I do notice a natural increase in my appetite when I'm due on. So again, it wasn't particularly weird, but I thought I'd log it anyway. And then again, another few days later, around 7 to 8 DPO, I noticed that my nipples were starting to get a little bit sore, which again can be quite a common symptom with either early pregnancy or when you are due on your period. So for me, I've never really had that before when I've been due on my period. So for me, it was a bit odd. And I think that was the main telltale thing for me personally that made me think, do you know what? I think I might have bloody done it. So yeah, again, that lasted for around a week. It wasn't like awful, but it was just like, you could tell, like if I brushed them against something, or if my husband brushed up against me the wrong way, then it was pretty uncomfortable. It wasn't like painful, but it was just like, I don't know, like almost like bruising. When you touch a bruise, it is that kind of feeling. So yeah, I thought that was, again, very odd. So the last two things, which I kind of got maybe towards the end of the 2 weeks, which seemed fairly abnormal for me in terms of lead up to a menstrual cycle. First one being body aches, which just, again, it just seemed really random to me that obviously the cold and flu symptoms had kind of come and went, didn't come to anything, and then I was starting to get these aches. I was like, have I got the flu? Like, what's going on? We're in the middle of a pandemic. This is not ideal. You know, starting to feel really just kind of off. And the other thing that I just instantly knew something was going on, whether I was pregnant or whether just something was broken down there, TMI, but my bowel movements were completely normal. Now for me, that is just beyond. I personally, because I do suffer a little bit with my reproductive system, I've had reoccurring cysts and things like that, I do usually find a week before my menstrual cycle, I tend to be constipated to fuck. It's horrible. So for them to be completely normal, to not be constipated or anything, it was like, I am either pregnant or something is the fuck wrong with me. So yeah. So that is basically my kind of 2 week wait symptoms. I'm going to kind of share the little story of when I found out with you here, just so we can kind of complete the timeline a little bit. I know my symptoms will vary to the next video you watch on a 2 week wait. A lot of people have a lot more symptoms, a lot of people have a lot less. Obviously it is dependent on your body. Everybody is different. So if you don't have these symptoms, or you have more than these and you think, oh, well, I don't know, you could still be pregnant. Who knows? You're not gonna know until you get those 2 lines. So, like I say, to complete the timeline, we'll flash to the 7th of May, where I was 11 DPO. Again, very early to test, but I just kind of had this feeling in the back of my mind. So I'm at cycle day 30 here. Sorry if I keep looking down, I'm like looking at my notes here. And if you haven't seen my announcement video, then you will know the reason that I did this was because it was my husband's birthday, his 30th birthday, on the following Monday, which I would have been 15 DPO. So I would have been late for my period by this point, but I wanted to test prior to that in case it was positive, so I could like arrange a little surprise for him. So yeah, so I tested on 11 DPO, and I originally tested with another OPK. So I had 2 OPKs left, and I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to be testing ovulation next month if it doesn't work out for us. So I'm just going to dip one of these because I have heard you can get positive pregnancy from an OPK. So I did that, and I will try and insert the footage somewhere, and it was stark positive, like a peak ovulation test. Now this can, I believe, mean that you are due on as well. It can be that surge of hormones can just show a positive on an ovulation test, but for me, I was like, with everything that's just gone on for the last couple of weeks and this test, I'm going to take a first response. So I did. So I took my first response, early response, and I got my BFP, my big fat positive, on 11 DPO. So again, if you haven't seen my live pregnancy test video, I will leave it linked on a card and in the description box, so you can kind of see the process I went through with testing and things like that. So that's pretty much it. The only things that kind of happened from that point, from when I found out, more or less within a few days, I have wrote down that my appetite started to decrease. I don't know why. I don't know if it was just the hormonal shift. I really don't know, but it started to decrease. I started getting a little bit more tired than normal, but again, I was starting to not do anything with the lockdown in the UK. So I thought, well, maybe I'm just a bit tired because of that anyway, but obviously you do get fairly tired in early pregnancy, and that is when the acne started. So I know some people will probably say that this isn't acne, obviously it's hormonal acne as well, but for me, this is just something else. So yeah, safe to say that how long are we after this? This is 5 weeks, so a good 13 weeks later, it just got worse. So that concludes my 2-week wait symptoms video. I hope this was in some way helpful. I know when we were kind of in the stage of wanting to try, I watched a lot of these videos just so I knew kind of things to look out for and things like that. So I hope this was in some way helpful. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am, like I say, I'm backtracking, doing all my kind of weekly updates. I'm going to kind of block them just to make it a little bit easier to catch up on, like kind of 4 weekly blocks at a time. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed if you want to see those, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye guys.